This has been my overall progress in my chest from the start. This has just been the last year. Impressive, right? From my experience, the chest has probably been the only body part, it's the only muscle that you can palpably feel grow. I mean, we know at this stage, you know, how much of an important muscle it is. I ranked it number 4 in my top 10 aesthetic muscles video, so we know it's a pretty big muscle for bodybuilding. So when I was around 18, 19 in college, there was a phase during that 4-year period when I wasn't training in the gym consistently. I was kind of going here and there and quitting. There was a small phase of that where I actually got a good consistent 4-month period of consistent training. I was going to the gym 2-3 times a week consistently for about a couple of months, maybe 3 months or 4 months. And I remember there was a phase in that where I could actually touch my chest and I could feel it growing. I could feel a difference. You wouldn't even be able to flex your pec muscle because there was no muscle to flex. I think something to do with mind-muscle connection. There's not enough fibers there to even get a connection going, so you're just not able to. So anyway, long story short, it would feel totally flat and you'd feel nothing there. So after the first month, I want to say, I actually felt something palpably growing, something hard actually started forming. For the first time, whenever I try and tense my pec muscle, I would feel something hard happen. And it was so exciting. And it was whoa, this is new. It's puberty all over again. But the chest is the only part where you can physically touch yourself and you can feel, oh my god, this is strong, this is different. But long story short, my progress fell off from then and I went back to not training and I lost all that progress and I went back to completely having a flat chest where I couldn't feel anything. Until about late 2020, early 2021, when I first started actually training consistently. And I stuck to it ever since. I'm able to actually tense my chest kind of now, and I'm able to feel something solid again when I tense it, except this time, it actually went further. I wasn't just feeling the solidness after I tensed or flexed. Even when I'm just relaxed, I'd feel something there now. And that was really motivating to feel. That was really motivating to see and just feel oh my, what is this? I'm transforming. Call me Optimus Prime. I think everyone should have the pleasure of feeling themselves up and being happy about it. So I'm going to take you through the chest exercises that helped me complete my transformation. And I'm going to be rating those chest exercises through a starring system, you know, from 1 star to 5 star, and it's going to be based on 3 categories. First category being hypertrophy return, so basically how effective the exercise is at growing your muscles. Second category is what I like to call badass ass feeling, basically how cool and badass and alpha it is to, you know, do the exercise, because morale and feeling are important as well when you're training. And then third category is going to be beginner friendliness. So basically how complicated, how accessible, how easy it is to do this exercise as a beginner, as someone who's not experienced. Now, disclaimer, these are only the exercises that I've done throughout my journey, that I've kind of done consistently and have done enough so that I can comment on. So obviously there's going to be more. I know someone's going to be like, oh, what about the decline semi-supine reverse cowgirl press or something like that. So number 7, I put the chest press machine. It's basically a simple machine where you're seated and you have these handles that you push out, and it basically trains your chest muscles as you're pushing out. The hypertrophy return, how effective it is at hypertrophy, I put this one at 1.5 stars. It's just not that great at building your muscle or giving you hypertrophy, because you don't get that great of a range of motion on it, and the weights generally don't go very high on this. You're not able to get a good stretch at the stretching tension phase of the movement, you know, the eccentric phase where you're stretching. And depending on the type of machine it is and how far the handles go out, you can be, unlike how tall you are, you can sometimes be limited in how far wide your grip can be in order to really target your chest. Badass at bass rating, it's 0. 0.5 stars. As I said, the weights don't go that high and you generally look like a pussy. Someone who's like an intermediate lifter would have maxed out that machine for about 10 reps. I'm gonna give it 5 stars for beginner friendliness. If you're someone who's weak as shit and you're just starting off in the gym, it's a very good, very unintimidating, very user-friendly type of machine to just go in and get your chest muscles like pumping to start off with, get you moving something. The chest press machines are generally idiot-proof. Like, you can't mess them up, you can't do bad form, you can't injure yourself with them really. You're in the cute section of the gym with all like the cutie pie beginners and all the gym girlies who just want to get toned and are scared of getting too bulky. You know how many nights of like sleepless nights and overfeeding and overtraining and just training to failure I've had to do over years just to get this amount of mid-muscle mass. And these fuckers are worried about looking too bulky because they might have picked up a dumbbell one time. Like, you can just pick up a dumbbell and accidentally wake up in the morning looking like Sam Sulek. I wish life worked the way these idiots think it works. Jesus. Anyway, I got sidetracked. Basically, bottom line is you don't want to stay on these for too long. Within a month or so, you want to be moving on to do more exclusively big boy exercises. Number 6, the cable flies. It's an exercise where you get 2 cables and you do flies, essentially. What do you want me to say? It's self-explanatory, man. Come on. Hypertrophy return. I'm going to give it 4 stars. It's an excellent exercise. You get great tension, you get great range of motion, you get to fine-tune your contraction really well. Obviously it's a different type of movement, so it's like a different plane of contraction, if that makes sense, if you get what I mean. So it targets different fibers of the chest. Badass at bass rating, I'm gonna give it a 3.5 stars. In the cable area, you do look cool and strong when you're doing those. Every time I see a guy doing it, I'm like, damn, that's a badass. Yeah, and then when you finish or fail, you let the weight go and then the weight slam and everyone just looks at you and they're like, yeah, that guy pumps some iron. I'm gonna say -10. Realistically, it's like a 1 star for beginner friendliness. Like, it's just not really beginner friendly. It's very difficult to get the form right, very difficult to get the contraction right and get the right position and the right movement, and you have to try and figure out how to get like a good controlled contraction. Also, the weights are heavy and it's very hard to go up in weights and progressively overload in terms of going up in weights in cables anyway, because the jump can be extreme. Because like 1 step up and suddenly you're doing like a quarter of the reps you used to be able to do. And like even the lower weights can be so heavy sometimes depending on the exercise. Cables humble you more than the pics your mom posts of you on her Facebook. But I suppose it's not dangerous in the sense that you're not at risk of killing yourself under the weights like you are in something like, say, bench press. So that's why I'm going to give it like that extra 1.5. Number 5, we got push-ups. Now, probably didn't expect it to be here, but that is a purely primal, simple exercise, the pure caveman's exercise. Now, I've ranked them this high because they have a really special place in my heart, especially like from when I first started my transformation back in like early 2021. So that's when I first like started taking the gym seriously, but then our retarded government decided to lock the whole country down because of you know what. So the country was locked down for like 6 months straight, and like there was just no access to gyms, or like very limited access to gyms for those 6 months. So when I first started training really seriously from around December 2020, from that point until around April, May 2021, there was almost no access to gyms. So I kind of literally had to figure out a way. It would have been so easy for me to like be like, oh, no access to gyms, I can't, I might as well just give up. But like this was a new me we were talking about now. This was a new, determined, different attitude, different mindset, different goals. It was a new hunger, new desire, new era. I had a goal in mind and I wasn't gonna let anything stop me. So I had to reckon with the reality and just make an at-home, simple bodyweight workout routine to get me through. And to be honest, I'm entirely glad that happened, because there's something so special about just seeing that progress from the beginning of being so fucking weak, so weak that you can't even do a single push-up. Not even, so like I couldn't do a single push-up, not even like on my knees. You know the lady push-ups that they do on their knees? I couldn't even do one of those. I literally had to start off doing push-ups against the wall. So literally stand up, lean against the wall like this with your arms, and then push up against the wall. That's how I had to start from. I had to start doing that, and then fast forward from that to a few months later where I can do perfect, full perfect form push-ups for around 10 reps. So special, so special. There's something about seeing that like physical progress in yourself, actually seeing yourself go through that progress of not being able to do a single, even barely a wall push-up, to being able to do perfect, like being able to physically see yourself, see your body, be able to do things that it was just physically unable to do at all, and now it can. You don't quite get the same when you're just adding another weight to your barbell. I'm like so grateful to have gone through that kind of experience. So push-ups get 3 stars across the first 2 categories. So that is hypertrophy return and badass abassness. Very solid hypertrophy exercise. As I said, that period where I first started to feel like the solid mass there, even when I was just relaxed, and I was able to feel it with my hand that there was a solid mass there for the first time. That was during the period when I was just doing push-ups mainly. And in terms of badassness, I mean, there was always going to be something primarily badass about just getting down and repping out 20 push-ups, especially at a party or a night out. I mean, you can't beat that. Definitely don't sound autistic there. I sound so autistic, holy shit. And in terms of beginner friendliness, literally 4.5 stars. You can do them anywhere, any place, anytime. No equipment needed, no machines needed. You can't really injure yourself doing them unless you're a fucking retard. So yeah, at the end of the day, 4.5 stars for beginner accessibility. So number 4, incline barbell bench press. Now, I'll be honest with you, I've never done this exercise in my life. I just added it because I wanted to talk about it and compare it to like incline dumbbell press or just flat bench press. Hypertrophy return is going to be about 3 stars. I mean, it's a very solid exercise, very reliable chest exercise that you can do, just like flat bench press. I mean, very reliable, but it is becoming widely accepted that it's not the most optimal for like growth and hypertrophy, because with the barbell you're more restricted in your range of motion and more restricted in how far you can like go down, how far you can bring the bar down compared to like with dumbbells. But you know, like solid nonetheless. Now the badass abass rating, I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars. Now nothing is as badass in the world of the gym as doing any form of barbell bench press. It's one of the truly exceptional times where you feel like a real man. Beginner friendliness, I mean, I'll give it 2 stars. It's not very beginner friendly. It's quite intimidating to go into quite a bit of heavy equipment around. You have to lift so many things in place. Also, it's a bit dangerous. Like you can really hurt yourself doing any form of barbell bench press. You generally need a spotter, unless you're somewhere where the squat racks or the bench presses have like those safety bars on the side that you can set up at a reasonable height so that if you do fail, you can just lower the bar onto the bar and then, you know, do the little crawl of shame from out underneath the bar like it's limbo. Now, number 3, we got the general flat barbell bench press. Now, obviously, it's the same as the incline barbell bench press, except instead of at an incline, you're flat. Yes, I know. What would you do without my analysis? Obviously, this is more of a traditional exercise compared to the incline barbell press. So in terms of badassness, it's going to get a full 5 stars instead of the 4.5 stars that the incline got, just because it is the OG. In terms of the other stuff, it's going to be the same as the incline press. So I think that's, what did I say, 3 stars for hypertrophy return and 2 stars for beginner friendliness. Number 2. The pec fly machine is very similar to the cable flies, except obviously instead of getting cables, you've got a machine that replicates the exact same movement for you. I think sometimes it's called a pec deck. Hypertrophy return, I'm going to give it 4 stars. Again, same points as the cable flies. You can argue it's not as effective because once you max out the machine, then it becomes obsolete. But like from my experience, the pec deck machines or the pec fly machines rarely ever get maxed out. It's very hard to max them out because the weights on those machines go very high. Badass abass would give this 2.5 stars. It's not the worst. Beginner friendliness, I'm gonna give it 4 star. This is where it beats the cable fly for me. Out of pure convenience and accessibility, it absolutely trumps the cable flies 100%. So you're less likely to get injured from like bad form on this one. Number 1, and so the creme de la creme of all chest exercises, we've got the incline dumbbell press. There's just nothing like it. First of all, it targets the upper chest, the upper pecs, which, if you know, the most aesthetic part, because it gives that kind of triangular, upside down, V-shape, triangular shape to the pec. So it's the most aesthetic part of the chest to grow. Hypertrophy return, 5 stars. It's so good. It gives you such a good range of motion, such good freedom to like alter how far wide you want to go so that you can like target your chest more so than your triceps. You're able to control the range of motion so much because you can decide, or you can control how low you drop it, so you can drop lower when you're doing your eccentric compared to the barbell where you're kind of limited by how low you can go because the bar will touch your chest. Badass at bass rate, I'm giving it 4 stars. Obviously not as badass as bench press. Nothing is realistically, but it's still badass. When you're carrying those big ass dumbbells and you hit your PR and then you drop the weights on the ground, beautiful. Now, beginner friendliness, I gave it 3.5 stars. It's good in the sense that it's relatively safe and relatively like it's not the worst. Like, it's not too complicated, although it can still be intimidating, especially going to the weights area and you're around all the meatheads. Form wise, it's not terribly difficult, but there's still ways you can fuck yourself up and injure yourself. Like, if you have a side more dominant than the other, like my left side generally was more dominant, then you can have like asymmetry issues. That can kind of complicate things, but like you should be able to sort those out after a while. Now, I'm gonna add a little bonus tip, and this is a must, okay? This is a must. It's not in the ranking because this is something you have to do whilst maintaining all the other training habits. You also have to do this. Eat like fuck. Eat, eat, eat. Track your protein. Get your 1.8 grams to 2 grams per kg of body weight a day. So around a year ago, I started tracking my protein and I was making sure I was getting the around 1.7 grams to 2 grams per kg of body weight per day. So yeah, anyway, watch my last video right here somewhere and I'll see you later.